You got to tell some folks sometimes, listen, this is the last time I'm going to have this conversation. You see what you see? The Lord did this. Now, if you're going to be upset with me, you're going to be upset with me anyway. But I've already told you how I got over. I've already told you how I came out. And I'm not changing my story. Somebody ought to stop having certain conversations with certain people, because no matter how many times you have a conversation with some folk, they ain't going to ever get it. They ain't going to ever understand. They ain't going to ever change their mind. They're not going to ever change their opinion about you. You just keep doing what God told you to do. You keep going and walking where God told you to go. Don't worry about what other folks think of you. You just got to tell them, I've told you, and I'm not going to say it again because you are not listening to me. And he asked him a question. He said, why do you want to hear it again? Do you also want to become his disciple? Now he's throwing shade. See, y'all hating on. Y'all keep asking me this. Do y'all want to be like him? Y'all must want to be like Jesus. And then he began to revile them. And he said to him, you are his disciple, but we are Moses' disciples. We know that God spoke to Moses. As for this fellow, we do not know where he's from. Here they are still trying to discredit Jesus. You got to know that when some folks, they're going to work overtime to try to discredit your testimony. They're going to work overtime to try to discredit, amen, what you've been through and who you are today. There's some folks, I had a brother, he said, man, you a preacher now? I said, now, man, what that mean, man? He said, well, now, mind you, I've never really been in trouble in life, Sister Jefferson. I got in trouble here or there. But this brother went all the way back to the 3rd grade. He said, man, I remember in the 3rd grade, when we used to do this and that. I said, man, that's all you got on me is you got to go back to the 3rd grade? Some folks are going to always hold your past against you. Yeah, I got kicked out of class in the 3rd grade. Yeah, I got suspended in the 3rd grade. But you know what? Thanks be to God that I'm not the same 3rd grader, brother, that I used to be. Thanks be to God that God has changed me. Thanks be to God that God has touched me. And as a result of my past, I'm now able to help people in my present. I thank God for my past. And somebody here today, you ought to thank God for your past. Stop apologizing for your past. God has forgiven you. God has redeemed you. Use your past to help the next brother. Use your past to help the next sister. Tell your testimony, because your testimony may be a blessing to somebody else.